Panda Anthem.
Ian, what's up?
Red Panda Anthem.
Red Panda, what's good?
Red Panda Anthem.
It's your boy.
We've got our guest.
What's going on, brother?
Brother, how are you?
How are you gentlemen doing?
How you
Great.
doing?
How are
on
you?
this lovely Monday evening?
I'm doing very well. It's a pleasure to be with you all, and really appreciate you giving me an opportunity to speak to your audience here. This is a fantastic conversation. I've just been sitting in the back here, listening and learning, and a lot more to learn. A bunch of financial wizards here, really spitting knowledge. So really appreciate your leverage of what you're doing here.
Oh,
Thank you,
good.
brother. I appreciate you.
Ian, would you like to give the introduction?
Yeah, he's going to be incredibly humble about it. But when it comes to small business and growth for Black entrepreneurs, this is the man everyone needs to tune into, especially if you're in the New York, Jersey, Connecticut area. Given that we are in such a, well, everyone clap it up for a guest if you want to introduce yourself, my brother.
Oh, well, so my name is Ken Eby. I am the inaugural Executive Director and Chief Development Officer of Black Entrepreneurs NYC. Mm-hmm. We're an initiative of the New York City government, specifically the New York City Department of Small Business Services. And our mission is in the name. Our focus is on trying to provide information, resources, connectivity to build out the infrastructure here in New York City to support Black business ownership and entrepreneurship throughout the 5 boroughs of New York City. So we're focused on a whole number of areas, but what we're really trying to do is similar to what you all are doing here on the program is kind of get underneath what we're seeing on the surface and address some of the structural issues that have made it such a challenge for Black people to gain wealth and to have generational wealth in the United States.
And I want to say kudos to the good brother Hassan Muhammad for setting this up and having you here. Given that the market is falling apart, and I know you know this, but every time a recession happens, the wealth gap increases even more. And I think it's really important for all of us to have businesses in addition to investing. What are some of the mistakes that you think entrepreneurs are making that you specialize in helping them fix that allows them to scale and build a profitable business?
Well, I'll say the first thing, there are a couple that are key. I think, and this speaks a little bit to something that you were mentioning just a few minutes ago, Ian. It's that a lot of people go into this idea of being an entrepreneur without having a real plan. They have an idea. They haven't even really done their research to see if somebody else had that idea or is actually implementing that idea and whether or not it's effective. They just say, I've got something that I want to do. I've got passion, I've got hustle, and I'm going to make it happen, right? Yeah. And so going into an enterprise without really doing the research and without actually having a business plan is the number one issue that plagues folks. Number two is, well, I'll say number two is lack of access to capital. That's a challenge that a lot of people face, particularly Black entrepreneurs face that challenge due to historic challenges and discrimination in terms of being able to access, bank loans and credit at reasonable rates and things of that nature. But I think that one of the mistakes, I guess this is 2B, is that people who go into business who do not have access to capital think that getting that capital is going to solve all the problems. And so essentially not having a business plan and then not having the network, kind of the ability to speak to people, to connect with people who can provide you with advice that'll help you avoid some of those pitfalls that ultimately will not be able to be recovered by that capital you have. So what I like to refer to it as is the absence of relational capital. That's a real challenge that some people do not appreciate. They need to build that up and develop that in order to be successful in this particular space.
One of the initiatives of NYC is to address the structural challenges of business ownership, particularly in high growth and high priority industries. Can you tell the people what exactly those industries are? Stay focused. My apologies, brother. This is the issue with doing a live show. Yo, put the
No.
monster down, man.
It wasn't me. It's the little AI thing got activated. Tech can't live with it. Can't live without it.
So we have to your question, we've identified in our research 5 industries that we believe to be high growth, and most, if not all of them, are tech related, tech adjacent. First is financial tech, fintech. The opportunities exist due to some of the historic challenges I mentioned before, a level of mistrust, to be frank, that many people in our community have for traditional banking institutions. And so there's an opportunity to really provide the services through some of these up and coming fintech startups. And then also the opportunity for those of us who are entrepreneurial minded, who have the skill set and the relationships to actually start up businesses in that space here in New York City. So fintech is one. Education tech is another. We've seen it impacted by the pandemic. I have 2 young children. We tried to be home school administrators and teachers. Was not great, but there is going to be the understanding that education and technology are merged, and we really cannot get away from the knowledge and the understanding that in person is not the only way to go. So there's going to be technology continuing to develop that'll allow people to teach, allow students to learn remotely, and how to really implement that in ways that are culturally specific, that are designed by and for people within our community. It's going to be a big area for entrepreneurs. Healthcare tech is another one for obvious reasons that we've identified in the midst of this particular pandemic. And then we also see great opportunities that are driven by the city government and its focus on environmental sustainability. The green infrastructure space is going to be one. It already is one where we're seeing a lot of demand coming from city government. When you think about city procurement and contracting opportunities, and what it really means to get a contract in an industry that is really getting pushed by city government, a particular administration that has a focus on sustainability. There are opportunities for businesses, for entrepreneurs to potentially pitch and solicit contracts in that space and to be able to scale out. So New York City, I'd say across administrations, has really been looking at turning the corner on that particular industry. And so there will be opportunity there. And then the last one is one which we're all hearing about and reading about. And Mayor Adams made an announcement on April 20th about this, but it is the city's commitment to the legalized cannabis industry. So we see cannabis as one of those areas where there's tremendous opportunity for entrepreneurs, and also, to be frank, a tremendous opportunity for some restorative economic and social justice together in that space. So those are the 5.
Let me ask you this. Well, then that was great. Before I ask the question, so you graduated from Harvard and then you went to Yale?
That's correct. I graduated from Harvard College, undergrad, and then traveled abroad, went to Africa for a year on a Fulbright, which was great. And then I went to Yale for law school.
Great.
That was a little longer ago than I'd like to admit.
Amazing.
Oh, that's impressive for sure.
This that Red Panda Anthem.
Ian, what's up?
This that Red Panda Anthem.
Red Panda,
This
what's
that
good?
Red Panda Anthem. Whole clip going up. I know they can't stand it.